In this video, we're going to talk about Instagram carousels and how amazingly easy it is to create them in Canva. Are you ready, Canva Collective? Let's get at it. Hello, first things first, welcome to the Hazel Sky Designs channel. If you've not been here before, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified every time I publish a new video. Now we're here, Canva Collective, we're ready to learn all about Instagram carousels, and there's a few things you need to know. In this demonstration, I'm going to be using the Canva app. That's the full app, not the web browser version. Not that there's much difference between them, but just in case it looks a little bit different, or maybe you've never used the app before, just know that. And I'm going to demonstrate this the way I do it. And I'd love to know in the comments if you find this useful. So check out the pinned comment and give me some feedback on whether this has been useful to you or not. Now, what I will tell you is in the description for this video, there is a free Canva carousel template that you can go and get. This gives you a couple of examples of carousels that we've created, and you can go and grab that straight away for free from the Hazel Sky Designs website. Okay, right, all right, let's get to it, Matt. Let's get to it. Right, so we're in the Canva application and I'm on a Mac, so this is why it looks the way it does. You can see I've got all my previous designs, and there's the free carousel template. I'll show you what that looks like quickly, just so you know. There you go, there's a couple of designs in there that you can take away to get you started. And also, most importantly, when you see some of the stuff that's in here that I show you throughout this video, you'll see why this template is really useful for you. But let's get started from the start as if we're going to do a carousel. And if you press create a design, you'll know when there you go, there's my previous search. I was checking if it was there. You'll know when you search for Instagram carousel, what Canva actually gives you is a 1080 post. All right, so if I click on carousel, it gives me this. Now, this is okay. It's a square image. This is what I'm expecting for Instagram. Actually, you know, with 1350, I'd expect the long version now as well. But let's just say, for argument's sake, the 1080 version is what I'm expecting. But it doesn't really give me the opportunity to create that long version with like the images that flow from one image to the next. So I'm a little bit stuck here by having this size. So thanks Canva very much, but I'm going to go and choose my own size of template so that I can create the right thing. Now, carousels, you can have up to 10 images in a carousel, in an Instagram carousel, up to 10 images. So if we work this out, 10 times 1080 is 10,800, right? That's the width that we should create if we do this in Canva. Now, if we press on custom size here and we go 10,800, there's a little bit of a problem. And this is that Canva says to us, look, we can't create an image that's over 8,000 pixels wide. So I can't create a canvas that is as wide as I want it to be if I was to do 1080 times 10. So what we do is we'd be a little bit creative here, and if you just follow this, when we come to download the images, I'll show you why this is important. What we do is we do what used to be the old HD, so we do 720 by 720, so we're just scaling down our image just slightly, which means that the width for those 10 images in the carousel allows this to be created on Canva. I hope you're following with me here. But it will all become clear if you're confused about this later on. So stick with me and create, if you're following along and you're doing this on your own Canva, create a design that is 7,200 and 7 times 720, right? And when we get that, you'll see that we have this long canvas now to be able to create these. And then what we're going to do is a couple of things just to make life really easy. So we're going to turn on something called guides. So we can say guides, and I might also turn on margins as well. I really like margins just to see where things are. We'll see where things are snapping. But actually, on a long version like this, the margins are not as useful as usual, but I turn them on anyway, especially when I'm in that area. And then what happens is, we also need to turn on rulers. Here you go. So here's the rulers at the top. And what happens is if I click in the top area here, it allows me to bring a ruler. You can see a guide. So you can see this guide coming along from the top. If I drag from the left here, you can see there's a guide coming in from the left. So this is exactly what I want to add. Now, what I want to do is add the guides every 720. And look what happens when I'm doing this. This is the most frustrating thing. I'm trying to get to 720, and with my mouse, even with the tiniest of touch, it's not quite landing where I want it to. Now, what I've seen is some people in these YouTube videos have been saying, well, just put it kind of where it's supposed to go. I don't like kind of, because kind of to me is not as precise as I want it to be. So the way to do this is to hide the bar on the left and also to zoom in. And if we zoom in, which we're going to do zooming in and out, zooming is in the bottom right hand side, so I'm at 58% now. It allows me to be more precise, so I can say, yeah, there's my 720, my guide there at 720. I'm going to drag another one in there, and I'm going to do 720 times 2, which is 1440. This is where I have to test my maths now. 1440, there we go. So there's another guide. Then I'm going to add another 720 to that, which is 2160. Look, I'd like to say that I'm working this out. I've got a calculator, all right? Don't judge me. I'm not here to do mathematics, but it is important for this. 2160. Oh, I thought that was smaller than it needed to be. 2160. Right, and we're going to speed this up now whilst I add all the other guides in. Okay, so I'm going to make life a little bit easier for you if you're following along, but I'm going to tell you how you can get this out super simple, how you can get this super simple before, rather than doing this yourself. So here's the numbers that you need: 720, 1440, 2160, 2880, 3600, exactly half, which should snap into place as well, by the way. 4320, 5040, 5760, 6480, and then of course the final one is 7200. Now I'm just going to finish these off myself so I've got them all ready for me. Okay, we'll speed it up again. So now we have our canvas with all the guides as to where each of those images is going to break, and that's what's the most important thing with this carousel, is where each of the images is going to break, because when we start adding stuff into here we'll see how those things break. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a background, and I'll jump and grab some of the text for one of the ones that I've created before so you can see what this looks like in practice. Okay, so I've grabbed a bunch of text and a couple of elements here from another one of my templates, and I'm just going to talk to you about the carousel and what you need to think about when you're being creative and creating these carousels. First things first is the first 2 slides. This is really an 8 slide list with a start and an end, right? That's how it works. But actually, in reality, what I've found out is what you really want to have, let's delete this 8th one. What you really want to have is 7. So if we move this over to here, let's say something like that. You really want to have 7 because there's something that's important about Instagram, and that is that it uses the first 2 slides and it tests the first 2 slides to see if this image, if this carousel is going to get some traction. So what you want to do is you want to have your main catchy headline here in your first one, or your catchy heading, and then the second slide, I'm calling them slides because I'm just used to doing that from my days of creating presentations. The second one is you want to have your sub heading, or let's say heading, just to mix and match the words there. Subheading. So we want to have the first 2 slides, the first 2 images of the things that captures people's attention, because Instagram will swap between those 2. All right. So then you want to use the rest for your list, and you can see I've got a list of 7 things here. Now the last slide, the last thing that you're going to put on there is a call to action. What do they need to do following this carousel? So you've given them some content, you've given them some value, you've taught them something, you've showed them something, whatever. They've gone through, and then what do they need to do? So you could say, follow me. If you want more content like this, follow me. You might say, go and watch a video on YouTube. You might say, check out the link in the profile for my new video or for my product or for my course or whatever it may be. But that last slide is generally accepted as a call to action. So this is the kind of structure that you're looking for. Now, as I mentioned, if you want to skip all of that and you want to just grab this template, so you've got the guides in place, you've got all of the images and an example just like this, then head over to hazelskydesigns.com and grab that free carousel template that is available. All you have to do is put in your email address, and then it will be sent to you in an email, and you can just add it to your Canva as well. So it just skips some of that hard work of adding those guides in to make sure they're there, right? Now, when we're talking about being creative with carousels, what we want to do is, in order to make this as interesting as possible, is we want to try and add some elements that are great for making this feel like it's one whole image. So one of the first things I want to do is go and add a background. And look, I'm just going to tell you what happened. I couldn't find background. It wasn't here, this option for background. So if you've just started with Canva and it's not here, like I had the same problem, go to more and you'll see the option for background here. It just didn't appear, and I was like, we have that on our other Canva, but where is it? Just the same as photos if I wanted to add photos in there. But anyway, there it is, background. So I'm going to add a background and make it really interesting. So already by having this background, there's a nice gradient and this kind of pattern that's going on there. It gives me a flow between all of the graphics that's there. What I've noticed with people that are doing carousels, where they come into Canva, they create what Canva gives them as the carousel, which is, 1080 by 1080, is they miss out on this opportunity to have this flowing background that flows throughout the whole of the thing. And you can create, you don't have to have the flowing background through the whole thing. You could have, one of the things that I've done before is you could have a square. So I could say, actually, what I want for my first two slides is the same, a solid color. So let's say I had black like that, and then I went into a nice background, and then I said, I'm going to go and put this one as my call to action, and again make that black, so that the content in the middle is like the flowing version, but then the call to action and the headlines, they're the solid colors that I want, And just look what's happening. This is one of the most important things about those guides. When I'm creating these, when I'm putting these in place, you'll see that it's using the guides to snap into place. Like when I had it and it was bigger there, if I move that shape and then I use the trimming tool here to resize that shape, as I got to the guide, it snapped. And that's why it's so important that the guides are in the right place. Like, I don't want you to think it's just one of those things where, just get it kind of about right. No one will really notice. Yeah, they do notice. These are the things that make your designs just a little bit better than everyone else's, by making sure you stand out by getting these things just about right. So we've got these things. I've got a background. I could try experimenting with a few other backgrounds. You can have graphics. You could have these nice looks. Now I've got those square solid colors on the first two and the last one. It means that those, when I'm changing the background here, it's only changing the main section. I tend to go with something where, it's quite a nice background, but it's not too overwhelming. Don't have something that's too much, so that people can't actually see the text. Something like this. It might be a little bit too much. It might work depending on what your products are, but it can be a little bit too much. So have something that's quite subtle, and that should work quite well. I quite like this one, for example. It's quite subtle, but you would still see it as we went on. And I might change the colors of, let's say, if I was using the Hazel Sky branding there, I might change these colors to be blue, and then we go into this sort of marble effect that's in the background there. With the headings, so I'm going to copy this heading to this one. The other thing that I like to do as well, I'm working on the look of this, and I'm quite zoomed out because I'm looking at all of them. The reason why I'm looking at all of the slides right now is so I can set this up as the long scene. So if I want to get that flowing feel throughout all the images, I've got to look at it this far back. But if I want to then start working on the individual slides or the individual images, I can then zoom right in. I'm going to zoom right in as if I was working on a 1080 square graphic, So then I can say, right, let's work on this this catchy headline, and then start to add some images in it. So one of the things that I really like that I've seen people do as well, which is cool. Let's just notice when I added those elements in, it added them into the center as Canva tends to do. So just make sure you grab them. If you're adding new elements in, just grab them. So I'm using a wheel mouse here, a wheel mouse. So this is a mouse. You see I use this for design work, and it has this wheel on the top. Oh, where's it gone? This wheel on the side there, look. So your mouse is probably a normal looking mouse. Mine's this weird one like this. And it's a bit battered as well. But I use that wheel, and if I hold down Command and then use the wheel, it lets me zoom in and out and then scroll around using this. So the other thing that I might want to do is add some graphics where they split across two of the slides. And again, this is where the guides come in really well. So let's say I grabbed a graphic. What might the graphic be? Let's just go. I've seen these animals. Let's use these animals. If I click them, you'll notice that when I click the graphic element, it brings it in the middle, as I mentioned before with the square. But what I can do as well is I can click that one and then just drag it and drop it where I want it to go. And that way it stops us zooming in and out. So if you do get in that situation, you don't want to zoom in and out all the time, then that's the way to do that. So I've got my elephant now, so I've put my elephant here, and you can see it goes across two slides. I've got my my tiger there, so that's going to drag across two slides. And I might have this sort of look and feel going across all of my slides, and we'll see how this takes effect in a second when we come along to split it up. Okay, and you get the picture, right? So we've got a bunch of images now. To summarize, we've got a bunch of images, we've got a headline, we've got a call to action, and we've got a bunch of images that are going to split across the different slides or the different images here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this carousel and we're going to split it up and save it so we can use it for Instagram. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to hit on download, and I need to specify that I want to save this as a bigger version than the version that we created, because remember we created 7200 times 720, and this is a smaller, so when I put this on Instagram it's going to make it 1080, and then I'm going to lose some of the quality for it. So I need to change this size to 1.5, and now you see I'm at 10,800 times 1080. So now I've got the right size for what I'm trying to create. I'm also going to say that I just want this bottom one, and then I'm going to download. So this is going to give me a long version of that image, and that's obviously not enough for Instagram. We need to be able to chop this up. So let's take a look at this once we've done that. So we're going to call this carousel. Stick it on my desktop. Right, and now we need to find an image splitting website. And you can do this dead easy. All you have to do is head over to Google and search for image splitter. Just image splitter, I think that will do. And you'll find there's a bunch of different tools here. So you've got Postcron is the first one that comes up. Pine Tools, that's the one I was using when I was prepping for this video. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. And it shows you a really simple interface that they've made a little bit more difficult by adding some ads in here and making the inputs a little bit confusing. So I'm going to make this really straightforward to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is go and grab my image. So it's called Carousel. There you go, so it previews my image. And then what I want to say is that I need to horizontally split the image. So I'm going to split it down the horizon rather than vertically. Right, and then I'm going to say how many blocks that I wanted. So remember we did 10 times 720 and then we made it to 1080. So we need 10 of those images. It asked me about image quality. Well, I downloaded it as a PNG, so I want to keep it as a PNG. I should stick to the great quality that I've got there. And it tells me there that I've got everything I need. I can just hit split image now. When I do that, look how quick it splits that image. So here's all the individual images if I wanted to grab them, or I can download a zip file with all of those images. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I end up with this pinetools.com and the date of that split image. And if I click that to open on a Mac, it will extract those files, and you'll see that I've got all of these images now. And I can just show you, I'm not going to upload this to Instagram, I can just show you here what this looks like by going into the preview tool that's on a Mac. So you can see that I've got my catchy headline there, I've got my elephant, and when I go through, you can see that these are cut out in these individual images. You can see the background, the marble background. So imagine as I'm swiping through on Instagram, I'm seeing this all as one long image. And then I've got my last one, which is a call to action at the end. All right, so straightforward. So if we summarize this video, we summarize the steps that we need to take, then hopefully you can go ahead and create them yourself. Remember, you can go and grab that template from hazelskydesigns.com, so you don't have to do some of the work that I'm going to summarize right now. So the first thing is that you create a canvas that is 7,200 times 720. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to enable the guides and the rulers so that we can add in those guides, so that you can do the snapping and all that kind of good stuff that comes along with guides. You're going to add those guides every 720, so you're going to have to do the mathematics to add those guides in or download the template. Then we're going to create a background, a nice flowing background that allows us to have the sort of smooth transition between each of the slides. Then we're going to download that image at 1.5 times the size, so that it's 10,800 by 1080. We're going to upload it to a image splitting site. We're going to download the files from that image splitting site, and then we're going to use those files on Instagram. Now that sounds really, really long. And when you first do this, when you first create it, if you don't have the template, it will take you a little while to do. But if you grab the template and you want to speed that up, and then you create one, every time you create a new one after that, it will get quicker. And it becomes a very, very simple thing to do. And the most important thing about it is you get these beautiful carousels that you can then transition, that have that smooth transition between each of the slides, which when I've been doing my research, only half of the people do that, because the other half are creating 1080 images and then manually creating the transition between, and it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look as smooth as the ones that we've created here today. All right. Finally, if you've enjoyed this and you want to get involved more of what we're doing with Canva, you can join us over on the Facebook. You can join us over on Facebook in the Facebook group, which is called Canva Collective. You can find the link in the description for the Facebook group. We'd love to have you in there. I'd love to see the carousels that you create off the back of this. If you download the template and you create carousels based on those templates, I'd love to see that as well. And that's it from me. Thanks so much for watching. This has been a longer video because there's so much to do here. But trust me, once you've learned it, once it goes inside that brain of yours, you'll be able to create beautiful carousels all the time. And of course, increase your engagement, your viewers, the eyeballs on your content, all that good stuff. That means we are going to grow our Instagram channels massively. All right, my name's Matt Hughes, and I'll see you inside the Canva Collective. Bye-bye.